Hello everyone, I'm Harwa and you're watching Magic Omens. Today we're talking about the importance of sequencing in Chane. It's something every Runeblade and Ninja player should master in general, but it's really important for Chane. The hero's lease on life requires maximizing every bit of damage before the inevitable deckout and blood death. When faced with a fatigue strategy, breaking the combat chain can cost Chane multiple points of damage through additional armor blocks. Worse yet, reusable pieces of equipment can turn one resource into several points of defending value. You'll walk away from today's video armed with knowledge of the most common lines to follow to not break the combat chain even once. The combat chain is broken when a non-attack action is played or when a non-attack action ability is activated. Anything played as an instant will not break the combat chain. What we're focusing on is finding a sequence where we can play all the non-attack actions and use the Soul Shackle before the first attack of the combat chain. This won't always be possible, and thinking about the exact sequence when faced with Rampart can take up a large amount of time. However, there are several patterns to remember, so you can quickly recognize them as they come up. Chane's ability works only on Shadow and Runeblade actions. Creating a Soul Shackle and then playing a generic attack action with Go Again will not consume it, allowing us to follow with a Runeblade attack which consumes the Shackle and ending with any attack. Common examples of cards that utilize this sequence are Belittle and Enlightened Strike. Chane's ability works on non-attack actions and equipment abilities as well, so be careful not to give Mauvrion Skies or Grasp of the Arknight the Go Again they already have. Never forget it works on Rosetta Thorn, as it's such an important part of Chane sequencing on big turns. Mauvrion Skies Blue are a Runeblade staple, giving any Runeblade attack action Go Again and a non-hit effect. They don't work on weapons or generic and shadow attacks like Ghostly Visit, which is a mistake some Chane players make. However, that is not detrimental, as it allows the following line. Mauvrion Skies, create a Soul Shackle, Ghostly Visit, Runeblade attack action, Rosetta Thorn. The biggest beneficiary of this line is indeed Ghostly Visit, but several other shadow attacks can come up in Soul Reaping, Mutated Mass, and Void Wraith. Captain's Call and Seeping Shadows give Go Again to any attack action below a certain cost. This makes combining at least the blue ones with a Soul Shackle rather easy. Play blue Captain's Call choosing Go Again. Create a Soul Shackle, play any 1 or higher cost Runeblade or Shadow attack, play any 0 cost attack, then wrap it up with one last attack. Captain's Call Yellow will perform similarly with Shrill of Skullform or any other 2 cost Runeblade attack action. Shadow Puppetry and Art of War give any attack action Go Again, but don't work on weapons. Combined with the generic attacks such as Command and Conquer or Snatch, they enable lines where the first attack is something that cannot benefit from the Soul Shackle. Example of such a sequence you can see on screen. There are several ways a Quicken can make its way onto your board. Usually it will be your own flock of the Feather Walkers, but what can also do the trick is opponent's Coax a Commotion or Swing Big. As Quicken gives even weapon attacks Go Again, the only way to combine it with a Soul Shackle without breaking the chain is to have a generic attack action consume it before the chain continues. Spellbound Creepers don't give Go Again on their own, and how they work can be confusing. Their instant ability costs 1 resource and allows the play of a non-attack action at instant speed. Cards played at instant speed don't consume an action point, but their full text still resolves. If the non-attack action has Go Again of its own, it will return 1 action point, netting 1 action point total without breaking the combat chain. Creepers lines are plentiful, and this example utilizes the Minnowisms searched with Belittle to get 4 attacks out in 1 turn while still playing a non-attack action. Creepers shine the most in hands where there is overlap between sources of Go Again. For a simple example, say you have 2 Shadow Puppetries. You can't play out both immediately because the same attack will take both their Go Agains. Creepers allow you to play one and somewhere down the line play out the other as an instant. Examples shown so far are the very basic pieces. On their own, they're nothing special, but they can be combined into impressive sequences. You'll discover them as you play the deck more and more, but here are a few examples. If you want to, you can pause them at the beginning and try to figure out the sequence yourself. In this example, there are 3 sources of go again. Mauvrion Skies blue, Captain's Call blue choosing go again, and Chane making a soul shackle. With a snatch in hand, our intent is to use its on-hit effect to either get a draw or force the opponent to block more than they would like to. Starting off, Ghostly Visit from Banish will consume the go again from Chane's ability. As it is not a Runeblade attack and it costs 1, it will ignore both Mauvrion Skies and Captain's Call blue. Next up, Riftbind from Banish will come in for 5 damage, threatening a Runechant because it is a Runeblade attack. It costs 1, so it will not consume Captain's Call's go again. This small on-hit, covered by a single card and a piece of armor, is a very tempting value block for the opponent, which will make the snatch follow-up all the more painful, finally spending the go again from Captain's Call. Regardless of how the opponent blocks, we will finish the turn with Rosetta, attacking for 2+2. Altogether, these 4 attacks threaten 17 damage, a Runechant, and a card draw, all without breaking the combat chain once. Preparing an Eclipse turn is usually part of Chane's game plan against any fatigue strategy. It requires 6 Blood Depth cards to be played out on the same turn. Doing it without breaking the combat chain can be tricky and sometimes not even possible due to the high number of attacks that might need to be played. In this case, we're starting with a Howl from Beyond, and then a blue Captain's Call into a Shackle. As in the previous example, Ghostly Visit is a 1-cost card that ignores the blue Captain's Call and consumes the Chane ability for go again. A Bounding Demigod will get go again from Captain's Call and will be followed by Shadow of Ursa, banishing Howl for its own go again. By saving the Howl in hand until now, we ensure Shadow of Ursa can get its go again effect and not consume any other go agains, while we can still use Spellbound Creepers to play it out as an instant and get an additional action point. Mutated Mask perfectly lines up to pitch the 3rd card and get extra power before we play Eclipse and attack with Ursa, the Soul Reaper, for a turn totaling 28 damage. The 2 extra resources were our insurance against Blizzard and can be spent to make a Runechant at the start of turn against non-ice heroes. Against a light hero with a card in Soul, Ursa will have go again, so those floating resources can be used on a Rosetta attack and invert existence as well. With Time Snap on board and Exude Confidence in Arsenal, this example makes use of some setup. After cracking Time Snap and playing out 2 Howl from Beyonds, Seeping Shadows and Mauvrion Skies, then Shackling, we have 3 sources of go again and 2 action points. Exude will come in for 11, eating up the go again from Seeping and turning off defense reactions. Next up, Rosetta will consume the Shackle before Riftbind takes advantage of Mauvrion Skies. We're still on 2 action points as all the attacks so far had go again. Being only 2 cards off Eclipse, we can play out the 2 Bounding Demigods, attack react with Snapdragon Scalers on either one, play Eclipse, and attack with Ursur the Soul Reaper. This whole line gains twice as much from not breaking the combat chain. Opponent doesn't get to reuse armor, and is also completely locked out of using defense reactions while facing 36 damage. It cannot be overstated how powerful such a sequence is against fatigue strategies. This example also shows how in some instances, the free Snapdragon Scalers can be more user-friendly than Spellbound Creepers that require a cost of 1 resource to be paid. Also, just as an extra, try to find a play when Blizzard is used in response to Exude Confidence. It's not that hard, but it's good practice. That's it for today's video. I hope these few examples help you understand Chane a little better. Playing him against fatigue strategies requires practice, and no line is set in stone when you're trying to play around Blizzard, Arclight Sentinel, Oldham's Eyes React, and so on. Sometimes it's correct to break the combat chain, maybe even twice. However, getting good at quickly recognizing sequences that don't break the combat chain will help you faster evaluate the multitude of options Chane presents on his strongest turns. If you got any feedback or would want to see more Chane-focused content, let me know down in the comments.